How to say avocados in Spanish? I am from northern Mexico and we say aguacates. Aguacates. And for the next, viewer's discretion is advised. The origin of the name comes from 10,000 years ago. From Nahuatl, aguacatl, which means three testicles o testículos de árbol, for the clear appearance and the tendency to grow in pairs.
How are you, aguacates?
Aguabales.
Huh?
What?
What'd you call it?
Huh?
Say it. Repeat that.
No.
Repeat it.
No, I refuse.
We'll just play it back.
You just have to listen to this episode all over again if you missed that.
It'll just be the beginning.
You know, aguacates are a superfood.
How so?
Well, they're filled with all the stuff you need. I don't know.
Really?
So are huevos rancheros.
They're very creamy.
Yeah. You know,
Fun
I
fact.
I like to make as a dip. When I want to eat something fast, I'll get some.
You dip some aguacates?
I will. And I'll put I'll get some lime and some tapatio. I'll mix that. La machacas. I'll just mix it up and get some crackers and boom, that's some good food.
Fun fact: I'm allergic to avocado,
But
yes,
they're
you
his
are.
favorite
but I still
food.
eat them. Yeah, I still eat
I
them.
knew it.
I still eat them, but I'm allergic to it. It closes my throat and it upsets my stomach. It kind of gives me the runs
Why? Why do you do that to yourself?
because it's good.
I don't think I love anything that much. If it gives me the runs, I'm not eating it.
So there's this picture in my phone somewhere. I will never show it to you guys though. I don't know what happened, but I had an allergic reaction to something from work. Like they had given these like free popcorn bags, and I started feeling my face. My lips kind of itchy. By the time I went home, I was supposed to go over and hang out with my friends to have like dinner with them. And on the drive home, I looked in the mirror. I swear to God, I looked like Kourtney Kardashian, dude. These huge lips.
I thought you were gonna say Courtney Love.
No, like I was.
Either is not acceptable.
Now, in the 40 minutes it took me to get home, they got worse, and I was trying to come up with all these excuses to get out of going out to this dinner with my friends. But you know what? I ultimately decided I'm going to go because I've already had backed out a few times. Anyways, I get there and I show up and I put like my hand over my mouth like this. I'm like. And then, hey, how's it going? And then once I take my hand, they go like, oh, shit. They all start laughing, and they start taking pictures of my face. And I'm like, yeah, it was pretty gnarly, man. Pretty gnarly. So
I bought some atomic hot wings one time, and there was this girl at my job, and she swore up and down, they're not hot. I'm Mexican, I can handle it. And my Mexican brothers and sisters, you guys love your spice.
Just a little.
But in this case, these were made like with the ghost peppers, and so I'm like, girl, like it's okay. You can be like, it's hot. Everybody else is like drinking milk. We were working at Starbucks, so everybody's chugging milk behind the counter, on these hot wings. And she's like, it's not hot. And then she comes out and she looks like she had Botox injections, and we're like, girl, it's hot. Okay, we see your face. You can't hide that.
So I'm the only one here who's not into spicy food.
Yeah, because I love spicy food.
I like spicy food. I don't love when it gets above a certain scoping level.
Yeah, because then the flavor is gone. There's got to be flavor to that heat, and if the heat is the only thing that you get from, it's an endurance game at that point, and I'm not in with that. Maybe my 20s, because everything in your 20s is about endurance. Like I can do this better. I can drink more than you. I'll drink you under the table. I'll
That's
eat more.
true.
Yeah.
That makes me think if we ever got like super famous, which will never happen, but if we ever got super famous and they put us on like the hot ones, who are we all going? Are we all doing this?
I buy out.
I'll do it.
I buy out. I don't do spicy.
That's the point. We need you to suffer on camera. This is going to make us interested for ratings.
I'll start crying with a peppercini.
That's better. That's great.
Oh my god!
If yours is funnier than Kevin Hart's, we got something here.
I haven't seen Kevin Hart's.
He got high. That's how hot the food was. Like his eyes were all chinky, and he was like, "Hey, all right, baby."
I don't think that was the. I don't think that was it.
It might not have been, but you know what? We'll give you a pill, and you can match his levels.
Hey, there's another pill for fun there.
Hey.
I'm not telling you what it is. We're just gonna drop it in your milk, in your hot sauce.
In the milk.
So
Remember when you used to drink gallons of milk at work?
I'd never finished a whole gallon.
You would
You
drink.
couldn't.
He
That's
would-
not
He would
possible.
he would buy gallons of milk, take them and chug them all the time because he was trying to bulk up. And seriously, I could see him like going.
Fun
It's
fact.
almost impossible
Yeah.
to finish a gallon of milk.
No, interesting fact. You can't finish
Yeah,
a
you
gallon
can't.
of
You
milk.
cannot.
Yeah.
It will make you sick. And if you drink too much milk, you will develop allergies. Hence, I got allergies now.
Yeah, I'm a little lactose intolerant, just a tad bit.
Same.
But I still love milk, and I drink big, 20-ounce gallons. Drink alcohol. But-
You know what actually caused me to do that? You guys are going to laugh.
What?
I was watching wrestling,
Okay.
and Kurt Angle was chugging a gallon of milk, and I said, "Is that how you get big? Chugging milk?" And I said, "You know what? I'm gonna try it. I think this is the old school method." And I didn't realize you can't finish a gallon of milk, and I was determined. And I think I tried like 3 days in a row, and every day it would be like a couple ounces of milk left. And after a while, I just said, "You know what? I'll go to the half gallon," and I was able to get through that.
Well, a half gallon, yeah.
I only drink chocolate milk.
I'm.
I
That's
remember-
racist.
I remember that those videos of Kurt Angle doing that, but if you remember, like most of that milk was running down the side of his face.
Yeah.
None of it was going in his
Like
mouth.
most
Yeah.
of the beer on Austin.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So as much he's a hero, because like I can remember being a kid, and I can't tell you how many times. Like I remember when I first watched G.I. Joe. Like I swear to God, I was gonna be like a soldier. I mean, come on. Like, I wanted like a
No
laser
one
gun.
gets shot.
You guys are stupid.
That's the best kind of war.
Wrestling. The good old days of wrestling. So this just in. You just told me when we came into the studio.
Yeah, breaking news. I saw this online that Vince McMahon is returning to wrestling to facilitate a sell.
Now,
And-
I was going to say bullshit, but I just looked it up and it says, yeah, Vince McMahon is staging a comeback at WWE months after he retired from the company over sexual misconduct scandals. And then now that's why the shares jumped so much from what you had said before.
I'm a
So
stockholder.
yeah, he's the controlling shareholder. So even though he quit, he can still come back. That's kind of funny. Like, I quit. I'm back.
I voted him out. I wanted a better show. I said he's got to go.
Yeah, I mean, I knew that. When he said I quit, I knew that what he really meant was I quit being in front of the camera. He
Yeah.
was never going to not be behind it.
Well,
Never.
it was the sexual misconduct. They pushed him out, like
George.
corporate
seen that
he's got
meme?
to-
George, why did you have to put some claims against him for sexual misconduct? You said you liked it.
Hey.
I thought you needed that job.
I like that money better.
Isn't that how you got your car?
No, sir. If I had claims against McMahon, I'd be driving a whole hell of a lot better than a Mazda 6.
Hey, a Mazda 6 is pretty dope, though.
know.
What year is it?
Hey, I mean, it's good, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
What's
I'd
the
be-
year?
2008.
Oh, well, there you go.
You
That's,
should have gave him a little more if you wanted a little more. You know what I'm saying?
You could have got up to a 2010.
you know, man.
Vince,
I hear
I need
two
a new
knuckles
bumper.
in gets you a Mazda 7. I don't
Hey, he pays top dollar, George. I'm just saying.
I don't know. I mean, I guess you got to believe it when they went ahead and said that he paid more for sex than he did WCW.
It is true.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, my God.
Jericho should have put out.
That's fucking
man.
hilarious.
I've just seen this picture of Jericho. This fun. I don't remember what it was. It was just this like nasty face, and it looks exactly like what you just said. Like in my head when you said that, I pictured Jericho like.
You just made the list.
Are you guys who's going to WrestleMania this year? Do you guys know yet, or is
Screw
that still out there?
Oh, like who's in the matches?
Yeah.
Um,
Has it been announced yet or no?
it's too early. It's too early. Like, there's a lot of speculation online of what they're gonna do and who's gonna do it, but there's nothing in stone yet. So
Well, I mean, the obvious, Roman's going.
yeah, he's
At
at this
world
point.
champion.
Isn't that dude? Didn't he have cancer or something?
Yeah, he beat it. He beat
Damn.
cancer, came back.
That's who he's wrestling.
Power
against.
to him, dude.
Yeah.
Be like he's beat everybody on the roster and cancer.
Hey, that dude's hardcore. No wonder. Of course you can whoop everyone's butt after you beat cancer. Look, I done fought death.
I really got back into wrestling. I haven't followed it. I'm actually right now like hardcore to like the NFL. I've been actually following that.
Yeah.
I've been getting into that lately.
This is a very interesting season. First with the Tua stuff, and now with the what was his name? Hamlin? Harmon?
Darwin Hamlin.
Darwin.
Yeah, that was a trip, man. Did you guys? He finally woke up today, and he actually asked, "Did we win?"
First of all,
What a guy!
I just want to say shame on the NFL. You
Why?
tasteless sons of bees.
Why?
They used to cut to commercial when stuff like that happened. Just for the record, you can't go to commercial.
That's right. That's right.
They didn't have to show thousands of children their heroes and stuff like dying on the field. Like, that's tasteless. Like, there is a decorum that, like, these companies, like, I get it, their screen time and air time, but cut away. Like, don't show that. Like,
I represent a part of the population that has no idea what you're talking about. So please explain.
Yeah.
Monday night, it was the Buffalo Bills versus the Bengals.
Uh-huh.
And it was a good game. They're both pretty good teams. They're in the hunt for like the playoffs right now, and there was a lot of implications on this game. And one of the players took a light bump to the chest, and I can't remember the name of the condition, but like many doctors have broken it down, and there was this rare thing that would have happened, and he took a bump, and it created a cardiac arrest. So he basically like had a bit of a heart attack on the field, and they had to resuscitate him on the field. And this was on Monday, and so the whole world was up in arms and like traumatized and triggered over this, and it was just like, yeah.
Hey, but he's back, right?
But you know what though?
Now he is.
You're kind of downplaying it. Actually,
Not
while
back.
it was
He's in the hospital.
he says it was a little heart attack. Most people would actually die from this particular type of heart attack, because what happens is it made he got hit, and it changed the rhythm of his heart for just a fraction of a second, and that's all it takes for you to suffer a cardiac arrest. And at that instant, like the fact that he was laid out and he didn't wake up for how many days? Like for quite a few days.
He was sedated in a coma for a couple of days.
Yeah, it was severe.
Prayers to him and his family, because that's really traumatizing. That's why I said they should have cut to commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should have.
And
They really should have.
so like he was young, he was strong, and that's partly a big reason why he survived it for sure.
That sounds like some superhero shit.
Yeah,
Pretty much, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I want that other player tested for PEDs.
What kind of superhero though? Superman?
Well, it has to be something, because you can't just be a normal man.
Well,
Speaking of normal men,
I was gonna
superheroes-
say,
The best
Yeah, it
superhero.
couldn't be Batman.
It is. That is the only superhero in my book. Everybody else are fantasy.
Okay.
Batman.
in all fairness, okay, like maybe I'm in the gym too much lately, but you guys think Batman was natural, or you think he took steroids?
Steroids.
He took steroids. There was a whole
Bruce
comic
Wayne.
on that.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne took shortcuts to the fucking.
I would
yeah,
have
shit.
to
You know what?
say,
Yeah.
as
There was
somebody that had the amount of money that he did, plus the mind that he had, I would say he probably developed some kind of steroid that didn't have ill effects.
Okay,
I think it
suspect
depends
he
on
used-
the era of Batman that you
Yeah.
go in, right? Because remember, you have different eras, different versions of Batman, and but it depends on the era. But in the 80s, when things kind of went dark, and it became canon, he actually did take some enhancement drugs, and it formed the plot line to a story called Batman the Cult,
Yeah.
in which he fought this like underground cult, like a blood cult of some sort. But
Yeah.
it was a great story, beautifully drawn, but essentially it showed Batman at his most vulnerable, because the drive to become who he was put
Yeah.
him in direct conflict with the things he was trying to stop, and that includes drug addiction. It was a cool story. Yeah.
I
That makes
also always
sense.
thought that, like, in the terrible Robert Pattinson, he used that thing. It's supposedly rumored that it was Venom.
The Pat Man.
Oh, interesting.
That it was Venom,
It was
the
what I-
Bane
that's
Venom.
what it looked like.
That's what it looked like, because it
That's
looked like
terrible.
it. So they're saying that was kind of like a hint that Bane is coming
Yeah.
because of the drug.
I hope not.
But I really did not like that. But let's go down in order. Let's go down in order.
Sure.
I
like this
was
discussion.
gonna say that. Have you seen how comfortable Batman is with needles? He's definitely.
Yeah, he's a junkie.
Yeah, he's definitely done some stuff. Anytime he's like beat up real bad, he's like Alfred, and then he just stabs himself with something. And I don't know what's in those jars. Sometimes it's green, sometimes it's blue, sometimes it's yellow. But he always gets up just
Jell-O.
fine.
So let's start this way. I mean, I want to know from all you guys. Do you like one by one? Do you guys like Batman? Just like a simple yes or no. And then secondly, I want to know like what was your exposure to them. So like Doyle, do you like Batman, and what was your exposure to him first?
Okay, see, that's a complicated question. Do I like him? I'm gonna have to go on the side of yes. But I think the oversaturation in the years has like made my enjoyment of it go down. So that's where I would say it's complicated. My first encounter with Batman was definitely, what's his name? Campy
Adam West.
Mr. West himself. It was the Batman movie with shark repellent.
The shark
that was
repellent.
freaking awesome.
The Bat Shark repellent.
Yes.
You gotta
The
can't leave
Bat
out the
Shark.
Bat Shark repellent.
So first of all, that guy had something for everything.
That was the best part.
That was the best.
That was not the best part for me. Let me
He
explain what
believed
made
in
me love
branding
it.
before. Like, I mean, he knew it. Like, everything had to be bat something.
He was Steve
Yeah,
Jobs.
yeah.
He knew. He put an eye on everything.
Like that one joke, like, quick, Robin, get the battery. What's an Terry? Like,
I've never heard that joke.
No.
I love that joke. I've never heard it before. That's great.
Hey, what's a Terry?
Robin, if you keep this up, I'm going to commit battery. No, what drew me to that show was the punching and the kicking and the
Bam,
fights.
boom, bam.
Yes, I don't know what it was about being a kid, but I like watching fights. I don't care if it was a real fight, a fake fight. Like, it's just a fight, and it was like one of those TV shows. As campy as it was, everyone got punched. I don't care who was in the fight. Like, the Joker would get one. Like the lady behind the counter would like accidentally take a punch.
The
to the
henchman.
face. Yeah, like everybody, and they took multiple punches. There was always 3 henchmen that did like the heavy lifting. They get punched, kicked, body slammed a couple times, but everybody got at least one in all the Batman
Batman
scenes.
and Robin.
Yeah.
But the music as it played was the best part. Like, the music that was playing as everyone was getting their ass kicked with the camp out.
Yeah.
What about you, Angel? What's your thing?
Mine was Adam West. He was my first. I wasn't a fan of him himself, Adam West. Like, I did not like his appearance. The show was very campy. Even as a kid, I thought it was very campy. But I guess I did fall in love with, like, the Penguin. I fell in love with Catwoman, the Julie Newmar version, not the Eartha Kitt.
Sure.
And I fell in
She was
love.
hot.
Yeah. And with Yvonne Craig as Batgirl. I had such a crush on her.
That might have
And
been
that
a
corset,
thing.
remember that small waist with,
Yeah.
the hips? Woo-hoo-hoo.
Yeah.
Did things to me, buddy.
But
I'm with
only
you.
as Batgirl, because when she was Barbara, it was like, where's Batgirl?
You gotta have the bodice.
Hey, the costume makes all the difference in the world.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Did Burt Ward, who played Robin, he said there was some weird, like, fucking sexual encounters behind the scenes while they were filming
Yeah.
that.
Wow.
He wrote a memoir, and he talked about orgies that he would have as a kid, like as a young man on set. And I'm like, dude, that dude fucked? Like, seriously? That
Why do you think he came in those little chonies? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? He was like, I'm ready.
easy
Hey.
easy access.
Easy.
Holy hard on Batman.
Oh man.
No, but that's how I started, and of course the movie everyone remembers. Wait, you know what's funny though? Footnote, fucking, what's his name? Christopher Nolan. The ending to The Dark Knight Rises is the same ending as the Batman 1969 movie.
Yeah, with the helicopter.
With the helicopter and the bomb.
I noticed that.
And the whole thing.
I noticed that.
That was fucking hilarious. I'm sorry.
Speaking of the Nolan connection with the Adam West Batman era, did you guys see that video that they put up with that? What was it called? It was the 60s, Robin?
60s.
Flim
Yeah.
flam.
Yeah. Did you guys see?
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh my gosh, you guys gotta see this. This is Batman at his finest, you guys.
No, I haven't seen
I'll
that.
just say it's basically the Nolan version with the addition of the 60s Robin.
Oh, that's fucking
Sell it,
hilarious.
George. Sell it.
What?
Okay,
That's
so you
hilarious.
guys gotta understand. Whoever came up with this surely understood some things on a different level and put some things that don't belong together in the same scenario and played it just like how it would be, and it is freaking amazing. It is probably my dad watched it and he just went, God.
You guys gotta send me that.
This is when I wish like our show was on video and we can actually put
Oh,
this
yeah,
on
have
the
the
screen. I
screen
would
and just watch it
love to
together?
see that because
Yeah.
that would be at that point I would love to react to that because I've never seen this, but I'm definitely gonna check it out.
Yeah,
after
you guys
this.
gotta send me that link.
Yeah. So what about you, George? What's your Batman?
Did
king?
Angel ever say if he actually liked Batman?
I
Or
got
did
the
he just
impression
jump
that
into?
Who, me?
Yes,
No, I didn't say I like Batman.
I know. That's why.
You noticed?
Did you like Batman or don't you?
I'm gonna go with Doyle's answer. It depends on the Batman, because there's some Batmans that I love. I do enjoy Adam West. I did love the comic book, different versions. What what was the name? O'Neill's.
Yeah, Danny O'Neill.
Danny O'Neill. His stuff was amazing.
Yeah.
I loved Frank Miller's. I loved even Jim Lee's stuff was great with Hush and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
That
those
was
are good
great
stories.
stuff.
Yeah.
You know who's underrated? The Norm Brayfogle, the guy who used to write, who used to do Detective Comics. He
Yeah.
introduced the character Anarchy. And,
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, I used to love Anarchy.
His artwork was kinetic. It's so beautiful because he would do those dark lines with dark, like really kind of like dark shadows. Very kind of almost Image-esque before Image was a thing.
Yeah.
He had like these speed lines on it, and he would always put Batman in these like incredibly cool poses, and he would show you like all the angles of him doing these things where he could. It was so cinematic and beautiful.
Yeah, I remember. It was really
stuff.
great. It's
See,
forgotten pretty often.
That appeals to me because I'm an artist and
Also, you clean. I'm sorry.
Disclaimer. No, as an artist, like I've always been into the images in the comic book, like the artist more so than like the story in the comics. You know, like I will look at a comic book, and if the cover looks amazing, I'm more inclined to pick it up.
You judge a book by its cover?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely do that.
Man, I got to get you Norm Brayfogle's like run of Detective Comics because it's just beauty after beautiful, like drawn comics. Even some of the more mundane storylines were so well done. The only complaint I have with Norm Brayfogle was his version of Joker was a little too. He made him look a lot like the other guy that was drawing him at the time was Jim Aparo, I think was the comic artist at the time, and he would draw Joker with like almost very like a lot like the 70s, you know, very kind
with
of
the
skinny,
sleek,
lanky, but and it looked cool, you know, he looked really cool, but the Norm Brayfogle version was a little too like Uncanny Valley-esque. It was just weird.
Who's the one who did the vampire Batman, the Crimson Mist series?
You know, honestly, I don't.
That
know.
dude was
That's-
art.
Yeah.
That was art, and also the Arkham Asylum graphic novel is.
Great. Yeah, that was a different breed right there. Awesome.
But
awesome stuff.
jumping back to the other ones, Michael Keaton, adored Michael Keaton, loved everything about Michael Keaton as Batman. Bruce Wayne, not so much. Val Kilmer, I'm on the fence. George Clooney, we don't talk about George Clooney. And then there is Christian Bale. I despise that Batman, even more so than Robert Pattinson. I think that is the worst Batman ever. I don't like anything about that Batman.
Unpopular opinion. I enjoyed the Robert Pattinson Batman. I see all the flaws.
I enjoyed
see all the
him.
flaws. Yeah.
The movie's crap. I enjoyed him.
No, I enjoyed the movie. I
didn't.
see all the flaws.
We'll get to that. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go
We're
little by
gonna
little. Let's finish Adam West.
Circle that one.
So
Well, I want to hear like.
yeah, let's go George.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I like Batman in the sense of.
Tell the truth.
No, I mean,
Speak your truth.
Batman is a good character, but obviously on the DC side, I go with Superman.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I need you
Right
to,
here.
I need you
We're
to
there.
let out that bitterness and that hate,
There's no
George.
bitterness.
Don't you lie to me. I've been your friend for too long.
No, what I enjoy about Batman is obviously the fact that out of that pantheon of heroes, he is human, and
Yeah.
he's gotten to where he is on like will and all that by himself. Like, so that's something that I enjoy about Batman. I do think that in certain media, his detective skills and like his intelligence is underplayed,
I think in most movies,
right?
the detective portion is gone.
And it makes it almost feel like, well, I mean, this is a version of Batman, but it's not Batman.
Yeah.
I always felt like if you like the animated movies and stuff like that did more to show like the superiority of his like mentality.
Yeah.
But as far as my first exposure to Batman, it was Adam West, like episodes every now and then when I'd go to my grandmother's house. But the one that always stuck with me for the longest time, like whenever I thought about Batman, was definitely Michael Keaton.
Yeah, Michael Keaton.
Fun fact, when we were younger, George identified as Superman and I identified as Batman. My pronouns are Dark Knight and Vengeance.
Mine's is Man of Steel.
Your only weakness is Kryptonite and Warner Brothers.
I identify as billionaire and mind your business. When we were younger, it was always like a debate who was better, Batman or Superman. And knowing that, I believe Superman came first, right?
Superman was the first actual like that kind of superhero.
For anyone who doesn't know,
Supermensch.
Action Comics was the original comic book starring Superman, and in opposition to Superman's bright and colorful nature in Action Comics, they came out with Detective Comics with Batman, and he was the opposition to Superman, and then that's where we get DC Comics.
I'm actually calling bullshit on that because it is true. That was the original thought. That was what came out, but that wasn't the original intent.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Bob Kane originally took Superman, saw what it was, and said, "Oh, I'm going to do that, but make it into my own character." So instead of being a brunette, he made him blonde. Instead of making him be bright and colorful, he was like purpley and blue, and he made him wear. It was basically Superman, but reverse colors with bat ears.
Right.
That was his original intent. It was oh my God, I'm so sorry, but I forget the name of the artist who actually drew him to that style that the first appearance of Detective Comics Batman, who actually changed the whole thing around. And Bob Kane basically goes, "Yeah, that's what I thought about all along." Yeah. And for years he took he took all the glory, all the rights and everything, and he said, "I created Batman." He never gave nothing to the other dude. I forget the name of the guy. You guys can look him up, but I forget what it was.
That's how it works.
He Stan Lee'd it, basically.
Yeah, of course. That's how it works. You know, like you come up with this concept, and then that concept evolves over time, and the person who comes up with the original premise is the one who's going to take all the credit.
Yeah. By the way, I created O.U.C.H. I'm just saying that. It's all me.
So the Bill Finger, I think.
Bill Finger, yes. There's a great documentary on that, by the way.
I'm not touching that
one. He's the guy who created the Joker.
Yeah, he created the Joker and all that, based on the old silent movie, The Man Who Laughs. Right. Which, have you guys ever seen it?
Bob Kane gave him the finger.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
So
what the?
Can I say though, like for me, my Batman, I love Batman. He will always be my most favorite comic book character. I don't understand the love for Superman as much because I only liked Superman in contrast to Batman when those stories were told between those two, because I loved how dichotomous they were. They were just so opposites that it made for such interesting stories. But Superman on his own, like, I found them very uninteresting a lot of times. It was mainly mostly the Alan Moore stories that really got me interested. For the man who has everything, stories like that, where you attacked him at a human level. The problem is that Superman was always treated as such a Greek god, such a superpower, and that it wasn't until they started tapping into his more human side and sort of challenging that he became a more interesting character to me. Batman, on the other hand, has always been that character. Like, his villains are absolutely interesting because they're absolutely an extension of himself.
I'm gonna tell you this: his villains are what make him.
Sure.
I'm not gonna lie. Every movie has always focused more on the villain instead of actually focusing on him.
I think that's a mistake too, though, in my opinion. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's wrong. That's why I think most of the Batman movies are flawed. That's why.
Except Batman Begins, though. Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins was about,
which is the only one I actually enjoyed. Mm-hmm. That first one, I thought it felt more realistic, but at the same time, in hindsight, I do feel like it was like, oh, it's a mystery movie, and then we just slap Batman in there. Like, it wasn't so true to the comics, and it's kind of hard for me to actually say that out loud, but it's the truth. I am a big Batman fan. Don't get me wrong.
For me, like, the first time that I got exposed to Batman, I mean, like, just like you guys, was the Adam West ones, but I outgrew them pretty fast because they were meant more for kids, and so eventually I got kind of bored of that aspect of Batman. But I remember having like this cassette. It was like a miniature comic with a cassette that told like his origin story. It was drawn by one of the popular artists of the time, and I wish I had a copy of this thing because it was so great. But in that, it's sort of like it showed you how Batman became who he was and how Robin became who he was, and I wanted to be Batman. Like, I mean, I like you don't understand, guys. I really wanted to be Batman.
You wanted your parents to get shot?
You know what? No, but I wanted to.
Then you didn't want to be Batman.
I used to climb roofs all the time, like at night with my friends. While they were all pretending to be ninjas, in my head, my head canon was I was Batman. So we were running through rooftops of like Bell Gardens, and we were getting into a lot of trouble. But mind you, that's a very anti-Batman X aspect.
Other people did that in Bell Gardens too, but the police were chasing them in most of those
I got caught
Is
at
that-
the school at Bell Gardens in elementary because I was on the rooftops there. Oh, I got such
You should've
trouble.
said-
That was yesterday though. That wasn't when you were a kid.
You should have said you were chasing those other kids. That would've been-
Is that Enrique? Enrique, is that why when we first met, your first words to me was like, "Hi, I'm Angel." He said, "I'm vengeance."
Yes, that's it. That's why.
I thought you just needed oxygen.
You know, it's funny that you brought up the why you like Batman, because growing up, I was totally of the same mindset. I thought there were more levels to Batman until like George sold me on Superman. And there's a lot to Superman that like leaves to be desired, but like I now have an appreciation for Superman in contrast to Batman. Superman's vulnerabilities are more on the inside, and then Batman's vulnerabilities are more on the outside.
Yeah.
And so like you're telling a different type of story, and so I think all of Batman's villains are actually played against his inner like vulnerabilities, and then Superman's villains are all played against his physical vulnerabilities, which he has none. So it's like, to a lot of people it can get boring, but I've seen Superman stories done right, and I've seen them done well in a way that like when people say like, oh well, Superman's lame because of his villains, it's because his villains are presented lame. If you were to present his villains, there was a Superman the Animated Series episode where he fought against, I think it was the Parasite.
Yeah.
And the way that it was, the way they presented Parasite made him feel like an actual threat to Superman. And so for years, I've been waiting on something of that level to reach like film or movies. And like when I got into the movies, what really made me a Batman fan is Michael Keaton. Just for the record. And to me, this is my opinion, so don't at me. I still think those are the best Batman movies.
Yep.
Just in enjoyability. I
Yes.
know they're flawed, but
Yes.
all the Batman movies are flawed. I hated the Nolan Batman movies.
Thank you.
I still can't watch, what is the third one? The Dark Knight
Rises.
Rises.
Yeah.
I just think
boring.
there's elements.
It's really bad.
That's boring.
There's elements of it that are just like stupid. That like,
You mean like 99% of it?
yeah, like who would tear up a plane like that? Like that seems so wasteful. For what did they steal? Like it was like a briefcase or something.
I don't care.
It was nonsense.
remember, yeah.
So
Skip to the end.
anyway, I mean, you could have just got on the plane and just punched everyone and took the briefcase. But you
Best part of that movie was
when it
Bane.
ended. Credit.
When the lights came on?
I was saying Bane's line. What will be the first to break, your spirit or your body?
Oh yeah. Don't get me wrong. There are moments in all of those movies that
I hated that Bane.
I can like go through.
I really hated that Bane.
I hated that Bane, but I love that line because when he broke his back, which was the moment that every Batman fan knew was coming and we were waiting on, it's like you could tell it was like wire work, and the way his body just kind of like falls over, it was great. He's like, your spirit or your body. Clap.
What about that line about you were born? You think the dark is your
yeah, right.
friend? You
merely
merely
adopted
adopted it.
I was born into it.
You guys are close to it. It was
Molded
more
by
like.
it.
So
The problem with Bane,
live action Kenny.
is that they try to make him way more interesting than he ever really was. I've never
Yeah.
found him interesting. Like in
he's
the,
basically a rip-off KG Beast.
in the
Check his-
in the comic book when they introduced him in that one where he breaks his back. Like
Nightfall.
I get like why that comic story was important in order to kind of humanize Batman again, to make him from the superhero that he had become. But I just never found him compelling. I don't understand him. as a character.
The whole Jean-Paul, I forget the name of Philippe or whatever his name is, Azrael, who took over for him, the Nightfall and the Night. And
Terrible
it was a
storyline.
really bad storyline.
Agreed.
The art wasn't that great.
Yes, it
And
was
ever
terrible.
since Bane showed up, I was like, isn't that KG Beast? That's the only... remember that comic book you lent me? What was it, Robin 3? Was it Robin 3 with the lenticular cover, like movement cover, and it was about Robin, Tim Drake with KG
Tim
Beast?
Drake with the KG Beast.
That thing was way better than all of the
But the
Nightfall
thing-
series.
There's a simple concept to Bane that everyone always seems to miss, including the George Clooney Bane. That was ouch. I love that. Okay,
I rather have that green thing than the fucking.
so I've gone back and watched. People are gonna be so mad at this. I've gone back and watched that George Clooney Batman more than I've watched the Nolan Batmans, except for the Dark Knight.
Sorry,
that
dude.
No,
movie's
I don't hate you for that.
that movie's all right, but it's because that movie's so bad. It's like an old Godzilla movie. Like I watch it and I laugh hard.
Yeah.
Every time.
It's shit, but it's fun shit.
Arnold is gold. I just, like, eyes to see you.
Come on, dude.
Cold day in hell, Batman.
No, it's not. He doesn't say Batman. He says Batman.
We're gonna get the pop. We're gonna get the pumps. And freeze Gotham. Everybody chill. Could you imagine him showing up at the party, like the after party? Who's chilling? Get out of character, Arnold. I am. This is me.
No,
I came here to freeze, not to lead.
And then Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy.
Okay.
he actually said that.
Yeah.
He said, "Good party."
Good party.
She, terrible Poison Ivy, because what my mind thought Poison Ivy, but hats off to Uma Thurman.
No, she did a good job with the shitty material.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But yeah, no, Schumacher's stuff was okay. It could have been better. I get these flashes where
Schumacher?
Coolio came out in it. Joel Schumacher, the director of Batman and Robin and Batman Forever.
Oh.
Yeah, so Tim Burton did Batman and Batman Returns. He was going to do Batman 3, but he had a falling out with the studio, and he wanted to do Superman Lives as the next one. And with Nicolas Cage, that fell through. So he gave the directing duties and the story duties to Joel Schumacher. Schumacher decided to camp it up a little bit. He was very influenced by the Adam West stuff. So he wanted to do a combination or juxtaposition or whatever of both West and Burton, and that's what he came up with Batman Forever, which was it wasn't that great, but it wasn't that bad. Then he did Batman and Robin, because Tommy Lee as fucking Two-Face is disgusting, dude. Isn't Two-Face supposed to be like two different faces?
Who's worse, Two-Face or Bane?
Two-Face, because he wasn't.
Because he was really trying to. Like,
No,
You know what really
but that
hurts?
wasn't Two-Face. That was one face. I didn't see no difference. One side was like Pepto Bismol, and the other side wasn't.
When they announced the casting of Tommy Lee Jones, I saw like Casino, like this gangster.
Yeah.
Like I thought, like, oh, this is a great casting. This is gonna kill. And then when I saw the movie, I went, "What the f- is this?" You just scream at the screen. Like,
every character every villain was played up like the Joker, and that was the worst thing. There was no difference between the Riddler and Two-Face. There was no difference between them, other than the way they looked, and that's garbage. Because you're right, that would have been a cool version of Two-Face, a gangster version.
Yeah.
But
dark
way
and
it
cold.
should have been.
You know what? And I recently saw this documentary on the Tim Burton Batmans and how the studio didn't like that he went darker. In the second movie, in Batman Returns, he went darker because Penguin's scary to me. Like that scene where he's like spitting out blood, but it's like black and it was coming out of his mouth. Like that thing could give you nightmares. If you saw that dude walking down the street, you would cross the street. I'm just being real. I mean, I'm not saying you wouldn't win the fight. I'm just saying you wouldn't want the fight. You know what I mean? Like, and so it just, as I see that, like, I was like, man, that Two-Face would be so cool if he was dark. Yeah. If he was raw and just like a murderer, kind of how like,
It had to be, because the way that we got it with Tommy Lee was completely jacked. But interestingly enough, I was thinking right now, like, we had a pretty crappy Bane in that, what was it, Batman and Robin?
Yes.
And that was the same one with Schwarzenegger as Freeze, right?
Yeah.
Why the didn't Schwarzenegger play Bane?
That's a great question.
Not that style of Bane.
No, even if he played that style of Bane, at least you would have got like a muscular Bane and it would have been believable. That like the dude was wearing a suit. He wasn't even as big as Arnold. Like Arnold walks in, he's like 2 inches taller than Bane. You're like, come on. That's why they never really were next to each other in the scenes, because they didn't measure up to each other. And I'm just like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You know what? This I know is a unpopular opinion.
You know who I would have got for Mr. Freeze? Edward Norton.
Okay,
In the
I like
90s?
that. I like that.
What was he doing in the 90s, though? What was he known for?
American History X.
That was like, wasn't that in 2000?
He'd have froze somebody's head and then curb stomped it.
Yeah.
Wait. I want to do the fad casting right now.
Well, I want to hear like what.
Yeah, go
what
ahead.
is your?
Okay, here's the unpopular opinion, and this goes to Nolan. I still think Jack was better than Heath. I think
Yes.
I think
Yes.
I think Heath did an incredible job, but they're two completely different Jokers, and the Joker that Jack does is more like comic accurate, and then the Joker that Heath does is more realistic.
Yep.
And so when you're seeing Heath, it's more raw and like gritty, right? But like the things that I see the Joker doing, like someone who I would really be afraid of, that hand buzzer thing is totally the Joker. He's gonna come up with an electric buzzer that's gonna fry somebody to death in front of everybody, right? And so like those like little elements to his character are more like the comic book Joker, where I thought like it felt more like that was the Joker off the page of the comic book as opposed to Heath Ledger.
I agree.
Heath Ledger took it in a whole different direction. Jared Leto sucks balls.
Who?
So the Joker, I mean, the storylines that were popular of the Joker during the time that the Dark Knight Returns was being made was, I think that Joker was more comic accurate for that time. But I think that's the point, right? I think that like all of us have different eras of Batman that we like. I mean, you guys liked Adam West. I thought he was cool, but I didn't
like
live or die by him.
That was
can
my
I-
first exposure.
Can I interject on something that you guys said about Edward Norton? In 96, he actually started in 94 with Only in America. His big next role was in 1996 with Aaron Roy in a movie called Primal Fear. Then after that, he said he was in Everyone Says I Love You. He was Holden. Then The People versus Larry Flint as Alan Isaacman.
Okay.
And then American History X in 1998 as Derek.
Okay.
So that's where we're at with
They
him.
could have gotten him.
They could have. He was getting some traction,
Right.
but sorry.
No, that's okay. I was just trying to say that I think that depending on the era of depending on the era of Batman that you guys like associate with, and that'll be sort of also determine which Joker you like.
Sure.
I do like the Joker from the 80s Batman movie. Of course I do, because he was scary and he was fun, and he was like I think Nicholson really defined that character for the time being. But let's be honest, the Joker that we all love is the one from the animated cartoon, and that has
Yes,
nothing
Mark
to
Hamill.
do.
Mark Hamill.
Well, we're not
That
even
one has
touching.
nothing. Well, I'm just
We're not touching the Bruce Timm yet.
Well,
That's
I'm
fine.
animation.
But we
That's
are,
fine.
'cause I'm just
Go
gonna-
there, Enrique,
for the
go
point-
there.
For the point that I'm trying to make is that Joker is not the same Joker from the 80s movie. It's
Right.
not
Nope.
at all.
No.
And that Joker is the more comic accurate Joker.
Right.
So that by the time the 2000s came around and the storylines that started being like trying to ground them into a more serial killer-esque version is what you get. And I think that Heath Ledger made that Joker like pop as a real character, a real scary one to it. That, and I appreciate a lot what Heath Ledger did with that Joker. I really do. That Joker is an incredible version of him, and Jack Nicholson's version is an incredible one. And you're right to say that. I don't want to like pit them against each other just because I enjoy them both so much. But then there's that middle one, that Bruce Timm, which is a whole different discussion.
That's
right,
a whole.
guys?
That's a whole
So-
different thing.
That
But if you're
Batman-
talking cinematic, it's for me. It's Nicholson, then Phoenix, then Ledger, and we can talk about the other one.
You know what?
Phoenix. Oh.
I loved Phoenix.
you know
I
what?
did.
That's how I feel too.
I loved Phoenix's.
I
did.
didn't like the movie as much as I was supposed to, but I appreciated his performance. There were just some moments where, like, emotionally,
Yes.
it grasped me. It got me.
Yeah.
Like, it made me feel for that character. And
It's not Joker as we know it. It's
well,
not at all.
That's my point, though.
But what do you get when you mix Joker with Joaquin Phoenix? You get what you deserve.
Okay, so can I say though, my biggest problem with that Joker movie?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. That was too fucking good.
No, you're good. I'm just saying that for me, the biggest problem with that movie is that I cannot place it in the Batman canon at all.
Well,
Which
it's
I get
not-
that's the point. Hold on, I get that's
Yeah.
the point, but that's also my personal problem with it. So I can appreciate Joaquin Phoenix because he's one of my favorite actors, guys. I really
Yeah.
like Joaquin Phoenix. Like he's
Depends for me.
I think in most things he's been pretty great. I can't really think of too many things that he, other than like that stint where he was like trying to play a rapper. That was ridiculous. You know, when he was when he was doing the whole performance art thing in real life.
That was weird. When he was on David Letterman and doing that, and it was for I'm Not There or
I don't know. It was trash. It was such
supposedly
trash.
he was saying that was his new. Yeah, that was.
And by the way, on a side note, I
strange.
love that there's a whole revolt against that whole performance.
Yes.
Like acting that's against like.
no, what was it called? Not performance acting. It's
Well, it is performance acting in
yeah,
a sense,
but
but
that's
I
not
get
what
what you're
it's
saying.
called.
I get what you're. Like it's what
Method acting.
Yeah, method acting.
yeah.
You know,
That's the problem with Jared Leto. He thinks he's fucking funny, sending used condoms to his
Yeah.
fucking people and all this stuff.
So
It's like, get the fuck out of here.
right. Actors like Jared Leto.
Trash.
Yeah, and Joaquin Phoenix has done that.
Yeah.
And also, what's his name? Vincent D'Onofrio.
Vincent D'Onofrio did it,
and he
but
tried
he
to
does it
defend
differently.
He tried to defend it, like on NPR some
I
months
remember.
back, and it was an interesting way he pointed it out. But I think that even in his own argument for it, he also understands and understood why there should be a line drawn. And he himself has said that Vincent D'Onofrio, which tells me why he's a good actor. Because there's been times when he's been accused of being kind of an asshole on set, but a lot of it is he said it himself is because I'm really just trying to embody this energy for this character that I'm trying to portray, and sometimes it takes for me it takes this whole energy that I have to conjure up, and once I expel it, then then I give you me as a person. I get that. I think that's all right, but you're right. Then you have assholes like Jared Leto who are giving like dirty comments, and you're like, what the fuck?
I think it deters from the movie, from the actual thing itself. It gets too much attention.
That happened.
Yes.
Yeah. He did some terrible things.
He did some terrible things as Joker, trying to be in the Joker movie. It's like, Insane Clown Posse Joker sucked. So what was the point of that whole bullshit?
Yeah.
No.
Well,
get out of
he
here.
didn't understand the character.
No.
He was trying to outdo.
Trying to take it in
He was trying to be
outdo-
Heath. That's
and
all it was.
Unfortunately, he just couldn't. I think had he just played him in a just more straight way, maybe it could have been different. I don't know.
And then he got pissy when fucking Phoenix was cast for the movie. He got really pissy, and
That's what I heard.
it got worse, and
Yeah.
he started being a real dick towards people.
Yeah.
And then he won an Oscar. Now he's all fucking bitter now.
Well, I appreciate that you brought it back to Joaquin, because I mean that my bigger problem with the movie is that again I don't understand it in a comic book universe, and I get that that's the point of it, and maybe that's why people love it so much. But for me, that's hard. I hate that it exists outside. I hate in the same way that I hate the Batman movie with Pattinson exists,
yeah.
because there is no way that they're going to all connect it, and I want the connection. I
yeah.
wanted the interconnected
I
stuff.
agree, but the Joker movie, I think I took it. I went in as it's an Elseworld story,
Sure.
like in the comic books.
Yeah.
That's how I was able, like I said, Crimson Mist, like those comic books. I'm a fan of, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being a one shot, never again. Now that they're doing a sequel, I'm not too.
Right.
I don't agree the same way anymore.
So there's this thing in the movies where like there's like the emotional ride, I guess you could say, and there's certain points where there's a fall off that doesn't make sense, and I think this is part of, like, first of all, no shade to anyone who thinks Heath Ledger is a better Joker. It's just different for me. This is the reason why I like Jack.
Notice no one defends Jared Leto. Go on.
And they never will.
With Jack, he plays like, first he kind of comes off serious, and then when he becomes the Joker, he's kind of campy and Jokerish all the way even through when he falls off the roof, and then he's laughing with the laughing box, which is super cool to have that happen, because as it's happening, it fits like the character, right? It fits what you've seen him do throughout the entire movie. But there was a moment where, like, I thought Heath was going in the same direction. He was so dark, he was so brutal, and then he falls off the roof and he's hanging by his foot and he's just swinging back and forth and he's laughing, and it was kind of anticlimactic. And so as I saw that, I was like, yeah, that's how it ends. And I know it was kind of paying an homage to what happened with Nicholson's Joker, but like, I don't know, Batman should have like had to cut that rope and kill him himself or something, as dark as that movie had been, because it totally changed the tone. He ended campy and jokey where he was dark and violent the entire time, and then with Jared Leto, he's all over the place. Like, none of it makes sense.
So, you know what, that's interesting that you say that, because I actually disagree with that. I think that the way that it ended was perfect, because remember with the Joker's whole point in that movie with Heath Ledger was that he was trying to prove that people were corruptible, and the people ultimately just giving them, as he put it, a slight push, because like people are, it's like gravity, just got to give it a push. That he could prove that people are bad by nature, and ultimately it failed, right? His experiment failed. Those two boats that were being, pitted against each other, civilians versus prisoners, nobody blew each other up.
Right.
So
Because of tiny blistered through the fucking.
You know what? But I mean, it's as cheesy as that part was. But I think it proved the point that, as far as what Joker was trying to do, so that when he has that that discussion with Batman. I like that discussion he has with him. That thing he tells him. He says that you and I are going to do this forever, because he's essentially saying that, you know what, we're two sides of the same coin. We're like fated to do this together. So ultimately, Joker wasn't defeated. Like there, at any point he ended laughing through that thing, which I think is incredibly jarring, because he didn't lose. He just didn't win that fight, but he didn't lose.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the bigger problem with Dark Knight Rises, is that we know that Joker didn't lose, and ultimately he was supposed to be a big part of that.
Dark Knight Rises, yeah.
And because of that, you couldn't. That was such a big vacuum in that storyline that you couldn't. It just was gonna fail no matter what. So that's why I personally think. So I love that.
I like the concept of making villains one off. It just
I kind of do too.
Yeah, because
I kind of do too.
If it's meant to be a bigger villain, like what they did with Thanos, I'm okay with like multiple movies. But film them back to back kind of thing, like it needs to like be a part of, like it has to be a thing, because when he didn't die, there was just like this escalation that just fell off, and like if Batman had in any retrospect of how it would have gone down, if he push Batman to the point where Batman doesn't intentionally kill him, but like Ra's al Ghul in the first one, Batman don't gotta save him. He jumped off that train and he let Ra's die, and so I think if the Joker had to push Batman to that point where Batman would have then psychologically now had a reason to say, like, if I'm doing this, then I have to, like, I'm gonna end up killing these guys, and then that would explain why he took the time off by The Dark Knight Rises. So like there was just that progression. Like I totally agree with your opinion. I love that aspect of that story where the two boats, they, the Joker doesn't win. But the whole thing about the Joker is Batman can never really totally figure out the Joker, and the Joker always does something on a level to Batman to push him to be something different than what he is. And so for Batman to like win in the aspect that he did, it was almost like he didn't evolve past the end of the story.
So okay, so in respect to those three movies, they were supposed to be like chapters in a book, right? You had a beginning, middle, and an end, and unfortunately, that middle, it ended in a way that was supposed to lead into a third. When you saw them as one big, big trilogy as it was meant to be, then I think it would have been better understood. But I think the problem was because Heath Ledger died, the storyline had to change so much that it no longer felt that way. So I think ultimately what you get is that feeling that you have, as far as that ending feels anticlimactic, when in reality it's supposed to be in the same way that when you think of like Empire Strikes Back feels anticlimactic, because at the end everybody loses, but you're left with these hanging stories that all get resolved in Return of the Jedi. Mind you, it's difficult to compare them because those are much better movies.
But and then that also plays into like clever writing, because if Bane had alluded to the fact that it was the Joker who created him because of what had gone down in the second movie, it might not feel so much like a vacuum. It might feel like that was a payoff or a continuation, like with him living, like with the Joker being locked up in Arkham, it was me who birthed out of his death, just something to that nature that would have connected it and said like, now I must push Batman past his limits.
In the novelization of the books, I haven't read it myself, but there's a novelization of the third movie, and in it, it specifically goes into a chapter that the Joker is in Arkham Asylum, and he is. It's hinted at that he is pulling some strings through there. Now, I don't know it personally because I haven't read it, but it makes sense to me that that's sort of like the hint of what was ultimately trying to be said. You see something similar, like, by the way, in the video games, the Arkham Asylum games, right? You have these games as they get bigger in scope. Although arguably the third one is the worst of in story-wise, it's the pretty worst of the game stories. However, all three of them, when you look at them, they are told as as a continuing story that makes sense when you play it. But so I mean, I feel what you're saying. I do.
Speaking of the video games, just really quick, you mentioned the video games and you mentioned the animated series, and it gets into the Bruce Timm Batman stuff, rest in peace. Like, that is by far, the DC animated universe would not be what it is without Bruce Timm.
What Doyle is saying by Bruce Timm, rest in peace, not Bruce Timm himself, but Kevin Conroy.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's talking Kevin Conroy, rest in peace. Bruce Timm is actually the guy who designed it. He's the executive.
But rest in peace to his version of
Yes.
that universe,
Kevin
because little by
Conroy's.
little they're dismantling it.
Yeah.
Like I think the last of it, or at least the remnants of it, was Young Justice, and although he didn't have anything to do with it, you can tell that it was it informed that storytelling. Have you guys watched Young Justice?
I saw the whole thing. Yeah.
It-
Sad that it's not coming back.
it is a shame. I just recently binge watched it 2 weeks ago. And I had watched it when it first came out, but then I stopped. Man, that is an amazing.
It's very well
series.
written.
The
Very well
first,
written.
the first couple seasons, the first 2 seasons, really like they captured my childhood again. But the last couple seasons, like like I felt like they were just kind of elevating back to like the same comic basics that like you always get to.
You didn't watch Phantoms?
Oh man, you should watch
okay.
You
it.
should watch
Phantoms.
Phantoms.
I think it
It's-
because it's a
It
much
brings
more,
it back down.
and it's a much more mature storyline. Like I genuinely appreciated it. I felt I love these characters.
I
Fair,
do.
I haven't finished it.
I do agree that right before Phantoms, it was getting a little too like modern
Yeah.
style. I do agree with that, and I was kind of like starting to dwindle about it as well. But when Phantoms came out, and just the pace of it and the storytelling is so amazing, it sucked me back in. And then it finished, and you're like, that's it. Now it leaves me wanting more. You know.
That's the best stuff.
Yeah.
You know what, George? You said something earlier about like not liking Robert Pattinson's Batman. I don't know, the Twilight guy. Yeah.
Yep.
He started under the 8 ball for me because Twilight. If Batman sparkled, I would have
mad as
right.
hell.
Yeah.
Talk more about that.
Talk more about it.
How much did you hate him?
You did a whole ouchie on it.
Yes,
you got
I
something
did.
to say,
you
sir.
Can go and see the out or listen to it.
See the ouchie.
Right.
Really, you don't like? I love that movie.
I didn't.
I
hated
do.
it.
I love that movie. I do.
I hated
mean-
everything about it.
Yeah, there are certain parts. I mean, and I know it's a comic book movie. You got to let some of the stuff go, but some of the action was just like, all right, come on now. He fell clearly. What was
The bomb?
Yeah, and he hit the pavement and bam, 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 like just rolled right across the damn street and everything. And like, I get it, your suit protects you in some way, but you didn't end up with any dislocations, any breaks. The Penguin got blown up. Like his car was like super sick damaged, and he was fine. He
Yeah.
was just
That's something I hate about movies is like whoever's directing them. I get you want to stylize and like over the top action sequences, but like there needs to be a level of like that dude would have survived that.
Yeah.
My suspension of disbelief only goes so far.
Yeah,
and that movie really made me go, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and the worst one was the bomb going off in Alfred's face, and he still survived.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there were some moments in that movie that like it's hard to deny those moments. I think what I enjoyed was the detective aspect that we
And-
talked about, like him being a detective.
I also was not a fan of the Riddler.
Thank you. I hated that Riddler. That was not the
Yeah, he
Riddler.
was
That
not
was
the Riddler.
Zodiac.
The Riddler is always
He could have
trying
been
to
like Hush or something.
Yeah.
He's
It should have been Hush.
No,
Should have been
no, because okay, the Riddler's whole MO is I'm trying to stump Batman. So when he goes, you don't know my plan. He just fulfilled everything about the Riddler. All his motivation is all in trying to stump Batman. So if for 1 minute he would have realized I beat him, I was smarter than him, then that completely kills off his entire motivation of his character.
Yep.
And that I agree with you guys. I did not like the ending. The ending was terrible. But I don't know what it was. It was just, you know what? I really enjoyed the sound. The sound quality was.
The sound was great.
That
the
opening
dialogue was terrible.
It was
dude.
the opening that when he cling, 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 and he showed up. Oh,
It had a lot of good things going for it, and I was so invested when I wanted to watch it. And my oldest son, my wife, which is a huge Batman fan, and myself, we sat there and watched it on HBO when it premiered, and I was. By the time it kept going, just the dialogue was clunky. Just a lot of it was like bad choice making, in it. Pattinson as Batman was great. His suit, not so much. It could have been a little nicer, but I did like it. But it's not my favorite.
so do you think there's potential for if like they were to do a sequel, they were to use 2 villains, and I'm just curious of who do you guys think should
Pattinson?
be? Yeah. Okay. Say you take Pattinson.
Well, they
You
really
improve-
hinted at Joker in the first one they showed him.
Yeah. Okay. Screw all that.
Okay.
Well, I mean, unless
I'll
that's
shut
who
up
you,
now.
unless who you think that's who it should be. But I'm just curious if they were to take Pattinson and use all the things that they did good from this movie and like improve on some of the negatives, like who do you think the villain should be and what do you think should be improved?
I think it should be Scarface and the ventriloquist.
Scarface and the ventriloquist. Okay, that's interesting.
And not show him until the end. Like show just hints of it.
Scarface is,
But have him like the
puppet.
background.
Scarface
Is the puppet and ventriloquist is that the bald guy with the glasses. Like, oh my God, sorry, Scarface.
Okay.
And that. But have him like not be like an over presence where it's like throughout the whole film you see it. It's just things that are happening in the background. Not be like the secondary.
You can get some Chucky vibes out of that
Yeah,
puppet.
you really can.
Okay,
Is it alive? Is it not? Who knows?
I
Like,
kind of
just change
like that. I kind of like that.
But the main one, it's got to be a brute force, I think. But I'm not too sure. But I always wanted to see Scarface in live action.
Gotcha. Okay.
Are you talking about a brute force? Batman's brute force enemies are Bane and Killer Croc.
But they're not the only ones. He also has other ones.
Who's brute force in Batman's rogue gallery?
Well, I got two guys, but I'm curious to
Mad Hatter would be kind of cool.
That's actually my pick.
Yeah,
Mad
Mad
Hatter
Hatter.
and Clayface.
Ooh, Clayface. Oh,
Here's
no.
the reason.
I take back my Scarface.
Here's
that. Mad Hatter and Clayface.
So
That's the one.
Here's my premise, and then I want to hear from Enrique. My premise is you take the mind control stuff, you know, the MK Ultra stuff. You take the realism of the stuff, and you can throw those elements into the movie, and then make the Mad Hatter like controlling people. But then you have a killer who's showing up and killing people, and Batman's trying to figure out who the killer is, but the killer keeps changing faces. And so throughout the movie, you don't know if it's the Mad Hatter or if it's Clayface.
Yeah.
And so you're seeing all these details that lead up, and you're using all these MK Ultra details to like tie in some realism, and you're using Batman's detectiveness in that aspect.
You could even throw in disinformation from the media as part of the whole thing.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Robo
Fake
Chubby.
news.
Yeah, no, really. I think that would be great. And the whole fucking.
And who do you
Playing
want?
into it.
Clayface? The Rock? What?
Okay, hold on. Before. No, get out of here. Okay,
That's it. Leave the studio.
give me my hat back.
That's fake news.
Okay. Let's do this. Let's do a fan casting.
Wait,
I know everyone does it real
skip,
quick.
You can't skip Enrique.
Oh, I'm sorry, Enrique. Go ahead. That's because I'm running out of time, so I'm just trying to like get everyone in and go ahead.
No, I mean I'll keep it short. I personally think
Enrique
the
in
Joker-
short, never.
So I personally think the Joker would be a good. I do want to see another Joker again. I do. Because the thing is, Batman is at his best when he's fighting his opposite. I think other characters mostly just round out, you know, his they round out his villain like cast and all that good stuff. But I think that the Joker is really the only character that makes Batman interesting on screen. The only person who can really like kind of go up against him and do it interesting.
Did you like that Joker from the Batman?
I did not. That extra footage.
Yeah.
I hated the way he looked.
Yeah.
I hated the way he looked, and I hope that they fix that because he looked like trash. Like
What if that was Clayface? I never said it was Joker. What if that was Clayface?
See that?
No,
That's
they
that's
called him
premise.
Joker. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, he goes in there. I like that he goes in there to talk to him, to try to get his advice, to try to get him, you know, sort of like Silence of the Lamb aspect.
Yeah.
I think that's a really interesting thing. You know, there's obviously some history between them already that they hint at. I want to see what that history is, but I don't want him to look that way. I think the actor's great though.
Oh yeah.
And I would hope
agree.
that they would. And I like the way he personified him in terms of the voice and the character. I just don't like the way he looked.
Yeah. Well, that was my problem with Heath Ledger. I did not like the way he looked.
love the way he
I
looked.
loved everything else. It really bugged me. His face really bugged me. It always reminded me of Clayface, and I was like, that's not the Joker. But I digress.
Why so serious?
I don't know. Just because
Yeah.
I'm constipated.
I think I was eased into that character because his depiction, that Joker depiction, existed years before in the comics.
Yeah, I remember.
And that storyline was one of my favorite of the modern times because my favorite Batman storyline is I think everybody's The Killing Joke.
Yeah.
But I think that storyline in which it's basically just a story written around the Joker himself, like getting out of jail. A guy named Joe Frost, I think his name was. Obviously,
Are you talking about?
Johnny Frost? Johnny Frost.
Are
I
you
think.
talking about the man who laughs? No, not the man who laughs.
No.
No. Okay.
No. It's where he comes out of jail and this guy, I think his name is Johnny Frost, or picks him up and he's like this low-level thug, but he ends up becoming like his henchman. But at the end, he gets to see a day in the life of the Joker, and it's brutal. But that's how he looks. He looks like the Heath Ledger Joker, which I totally dug. I found him incredibly scary. So
I dig that idea of bringing back the Joker, but I would like to see some other, caveats. So
I think what you
Willem
said
Dafoe.
with the Mad Hatter would make an interesting counterpoint to the Joker, because I think that what they should play at is because remember, Mad Hatter is supposed to be like this guy who's obsessed with a particular
woman.
A particular woman who looks like Alice,
Mm-hmm.
and I can see how that would play up in a very scary way, where Batman's detective skills would need to come up to try to find him, and then pair that up with a Joker who's who I just think that would make an interesting visual.
Willem Dafoe for Joker.
If you could,
Hands down.
that would be awesome. If they saved Joker for part 3, I think you can't escalate Batman more than the Joker. It's always like going to be a dip after Joker, so I would never put him first or in the second movie.
I think it should be like you said, though. It should be where it's like kind of Thanos, kind of like hint at him and then have him come out.
Yeah,
and
like
him at the end.
they already hinted at him in the first movie. In the second movie, find out at the end that he was actually pulling the strings about the Mad Hatter.
Yeah.
And then what would be really cool is instead of having the Joker show up at the end of the second movie, give hints of him already manipulating Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
And maybe Harley Quinn's...
Speaking of Harley Quinn, have you guys seen the animated Harley Quinn show with that Joker? That's a great Joker, Alan Tudyk.
Yeah,
that's
fun
a
Joker.
great
I
Joker.
saw a couple episodes and then...
I enjoyed it.
I think it was the lesbian angle that kind of threw me off a
That's
little
in the
bit.
comics, though.
I know, but you know what? Look, okay. I'm going to say this for every comic book fan listening. If you're still listening, these new comics...
All 3 of you.
These new comics do not count. Screw this new 52 BS, because the new 52 stuff is as woke as all the other crap that Hollywood's putting out. And then we go, oh, it's in the comics, but it's not the good comics. It's not the stuff that is like the most famous, the most popular, the stuff that really draws us in. It's like they threw a bunch of stuff in later on, and we kind of accept it because it's comic book.
The views of old man Doyle screaming at the cloud
shaking
are
my
not the
fist.
views
Are
of
my
Ouch
views
podcast.
The 52's been over for like what, 10 years now.
Yeah. I think you'd be over it by now.
But what I'm
No,
saying
it is because they resolved it, but they what they did was they updated it with the Doomsday Clock storyline, with the one with you can actually see it, right, because we're in Undercity. Yeah, shout out to Undercity.
shout out.
That yellow book, watch, I'll show it to you. It's really cool because it takes it tries to connect the Alan Moore story with the modern one. So it's
But
interesting.
it's from that moment of New 52 that they started adding these things to the comics that then they go, oh yeah, it's in the comics. And we're like, what?
All right, Ouchcast, real quick. We're running out of time.
No, we're not.
Let's do a fan casting. You hear the song? We're running out of damn time, okay? Fan casting. Who would you choose as Batman? New movie. We're casting it. Batman, go.
Oh, that's tough. I don't know. A no name with a chin. He's got to have a chin. You know what I'm
John
saying?
Hamm.
I was gonna say John Hamm.
John
That was
Hamm?
my
John
choice.
Hamm.
I don't even know who John Hamm is.
Mad Men.
Mad Men.
Oh,
Don Draper.
Don Draper.
okay, fair.
John Hamm. You make a great Bruce and you make a good Batman.
If not him, then I would want to do that one dude who's playing Ryan. He also came out in the Titans as Hawk and Dove. I forget. He's the blonde-haired guy.
Jack Ryan guy.
I think he would be
He
a
was
really cool Batman.
He was also Aquaman in
Yeah.
Smallville.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I know who
I
that
think
guy
he would be a
is.
really good Batman.
That's a good choice. That's a good choice. No, watch
Okay, so-
Jack Ryan and you'll be like, okay, I
So-
can see that.
So, I seen Blue Mountain State, and it's hard for me not to see that guy as that goofball. They got to do some hardcore stuff with him, kind of like Pattinson.
Watch Titans.
Let me throw one more name out. I don't remember the actor's name, but he's a dude from Yellowstone who plays the son of
Kevin Costner?
Kevin Costner.
Oh, the guy in the ranch?
The really deep blue eyes that he has. I think he would play a really good Batman.
I could see it. I could see. I could definitely see
He's
that.
got this intensity in his face that
Yeah.
I think it would be really cool to see him play Bruce
He needs
Wayne
to bulk
and
up a
Batman.
little bit, but yeah, I agree.
I imagine that wouldn't be a problem
No,
for
I
these
don't- I don't
actors,
either.
but I
Okay.
think it would be good.
Joker, go. Anybody?
I already said Willem Dafoe for Joker.
I
I'm
wholeheartedly
gonna
agree.
agree.
Yeah, yeah.
That's-
It has to be someone
Has
old
to be the
like
next
that.
Joker.
Someone. Yeah.
Yeah, I
He
mean,
has
Willem
a
Dafoe's good.
Catwoman, go.
Someone hot.
It has to be someone believable.
I am. You know what? This is a bad game for me to play because I am not a casting director. I do not do the casting couch. None of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody either.
Mad Hatter, Timothy Chalamet.
Timothy Chalamet,
Yeah. Chalamet, sorry. Chalamet.
the dude
Chalamet.
from Dune. I don't see
Yeah,
that.
I could see him.
Disagree. I'd want him to be someone a little creepier looking.
He could creep it up. He's one of those guys that can creep it up. Mark my words. In the coming future, you're gonna see how much of a good actor he is.
He's a great
He's
actor.
very
Yeah.
creepy.
He could really do it. He could really go creepster.
He's very creepy.
He can do creeper. Clayface.
I mean, the dude-
Anybody.
Yeah, the dude's ugly. So
That
you
dude
gotta.
from Mindhunter. I forget what the
And-
one who plays the second guy, the one who plays the FBI cop, the psychologist guy.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Who was
Whoever
also
plays
in Matrix
Clayface.
Revolution?
Yeah.
Or the
I need some
Revis-
prosthetic. I need some prosthetic. Don't make. I know he like is gonna shapeshift and look like Morph and do all that crap. But when the actor is acting, I need some prosthetic to show his face is disfigured.
Yeah. Who else? Let's see. Riddler.
Anybody but who they got. Not that guy was a bad choice for the Riddler. Just how they portrayed him was awful.
You
Oh,
know
Paul
who-
Dano?
Paul
No.
Dano,
Paul Dano?
or whatever.
Yeah.
He should have been the Mad Hatter.
Yeah. That would have worked.
I feel
anyway,
that. I feel that.
we could do this all day, but we're out of time, guys. So, thank you for joining us. I didn't even introduce myself. We just jumped right in, man. It's been a while.
Hey, by now
Um,
we're a year in. They know who we are.
We apologize for
No,
not
for
introducing
nothing.
ourselves. We apologize for not putting out an episode, but the holidays and all that. Jingle bells.
I will apologize.
Merry
for that.
Fistmas and all
Batman
that.
Smells.
Did you hear that? He said Merry Fistmas.
And all good things. So join us next time. We have a lot of good things coming for this year. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New
Happy
Year.
New Year.
Yay.
Hey. So this episode will come out as quick as possible since we're behind schedule.
Gotcha. If I learned anything from this episode, it's take steroids, guys, and be Batman.
Ooh, Jesus Christ. Anyway,
You got any?
Georgie? No, why are you looking at me?
You sounded like that dude from South Park.
That's what I did. Ooh, Jesus Christ.
I need some steroids.
Georgie,
George.
anything to add?
It's been fun, and we're gonna keep on rolling.
Enrique?
No, it's been fun.
Toyo?
Comment if you got roids.
And remember, never make eye contact while eating. Batman stick. Good night, everybody.